Hi, I'm Matt Finch, and this is just a short introduction to my Thinking Through Drawing workshop, Cones, Grids and Timelines, a visual approach to scenario planning. Now, in my work, I help organizations, companies, and communities to look at the future to try and spot opportunities or threats that they didn't see coming. And I work as a facilitator on the scenario planning course at Oxford University's Said Business School. However, prior to that, I was a kindergarten teacher, and of course, even further back than that, I was a kindergartner myself, which means the first time that I tried to represent time visually, it was when a teacher drew a line on a whiteboard and asked us to label that as yesterday, today, and tomorrow, or past, present, and future. This is a completely arbitrary visual representation. It only runs from left to right because the English language is written from left to right. Yet we internalize this way of looking at time, and it leads to all kinds of exciting things like Gantt charts, which you may recognize here. As we grow older, we realize that even though time is moving ever onward and we can't go back, there's also a sense of rhythm and routine, of cycles. Here's another birthday, here's another Christmas, here's another financial year, here's another presidential election. And we grow lulled by this version of time into thinking we know what's coming next. Except sometimes when we're churning along, suddenly events seem to go off course and we find ourselves on a different timeline from the one that we expected. And all too often, whether the crisis is social, political, environmental, medical, or economic, the crisis has actually emerged in the recent past. The future hasn't come towards us from over the horizon, it's overtaken us in our rear-view mirror. So in this workshop, we'll look at different ways to represent the future, to look at alternatives that might be ahead of us, to consider whether time is represented best as a cone of possibility, growing broader the further out it gets or the harder to predict. Whether it's not about projections, cones and timelines at all, but something even more spectacular and strange. Some academics have argued that time might as well be represented in the shape of a teddy bear as a projection extending into the future. We'll look at the world of comics and whether the ways in which we arrange images in space to tell stories can help people to think differently about the world which is yet to come, using techniques which are really accessible even for people who are not confident in their drawing skills. We'll also look at how scenario planners map the environment in which an organization operates and the uncertain factors which will affect that environment in the future. And again, we'll use our drawing skills to find new and compelling ways for people of all levels of ability and confidence to represent the world around them and the future uncertainties they face in useful ways. We'll then look at the ways in which the products of a future-focused project can be presented to people, helping them to see the differences between the different futures which await, to imagine themselves in worlds which are yet to come, to link both the past and the future to help us think about catastrophe and crisis, and to do this in a way which can be useful for an institution or a corporate client, but can also be applied with all ages and with the widest possible community. Whether you're young or old, you can think about some of the crises that we might face in the world to come, and drawing is one of the most effective ways to bring these future scenarios that we need to engage with to life. But at the end of this 45-minute workshop, we'll have gone beyond traditional timelines and found new ways of drawing the past, present, and future, which help us to prepare for those difficult days when somehow we veer off course and we find we're no longer on the timeline we hoped for or expected. I hope you'll join me and that we'll have a great time together as we think the future through drawing.